Hello, Roberta. How can I help you?
Does the name Michael Mason ring any bells?
Where did you hear that name?
He took down a full assault team. Alone.
What I'm about to say doesn't exist outside of this conversation.
Years ago, we ran an off-book program of elite operatives called Black Kites.
Operatives untethered from MI6’s oversight.
And Mason was one of them.
Yeah, he was one of the first.
He was a prodigy. He became our gold standard.
Then what happened?
He was sent to eliminate
A foreign intelligence officer. Instead, he spared the target.
falsified his report, and then disappeared.
Why would he defy orders?
We think he was turned. You need to understand something. Mason isn't just an assassin.
He's a precision instrument. There's no stopping him.
You need to throw everything you've got at him, Roberta.
Yes, sir.
The movie begins on a remote island where a lone watchtower stands facing the open sea. Inside the tower, Michael Mason watches as a small supply boat approaches the shore for its usual weekly delivery. When the boat docks, a man stays behind while his young niece, Jessie, carries boxes of supplies onto the island. She brings them to Mike's storage room and, as always, leaves a small, thoughtful gift on top, hoping he might finally come out to meet her. Mike, determined to remain isolated, waits until she leaves before stepping outside. This quiet routine has continued for months. He lives completely alone with only his German Shepherd for company. His days pass in silence as he drinks during the afternoons and plays chess by himself, showing little interest in anything else. Months later, Jessie arrives again with another delivery, but this time Mike steps outside. Frustrated, Jessie confronts him about ignoring her gifts for so long, telling him that most people would at least say thank you. Mike responds coldly and tells her she is not welcome back after today. When she calls him ungrateful, he shuts the door in her face. As she walks back toward the boat, a weather alert sounds from the tower, and within moments a violent storm crashes in.
Gale force winds are in serious effect across the coast.
Jesse, come on!
New storm formed, now heading towards the Hebrides.
Jesse, come on!
Massive waves slam into the vessel and flip it over, throwing Jessie into the sea. Mike sees everything from his window and immediately races his own boat into the raging water. He dives beneath the surface, fighting the current until he reaches her. Jessie's legs are tangled in a fishing net under the water. Mike frees her, but her uncle is trapped inside the wreckage and has already drowned. Mike pulls Jessie onto his boat and performs CPR until she coughs up water and regains consciousness. Back at the tower, he treats a deep wound on her leg. When Jessie asks about her uncle, Mike gently tells her that he is gone. She is devastated. The next morning, Mike carefully rebandages her injured leg. Jessie questions why he has not contacted any other relatives or the police. Mike reveals that she has no other family left, and he knows this because he and her uncle once served together in the Royal Marines.
Someone will come looking.
Will they? There's nothing here for anyone.
After saying this, he leaves to complete his daily chores and to clear his head. Alone and uneasy, Jessie searches the house, finds a knife in a drawer, and hides it under her pillow for protection. That night, she wakes from a nightmare. Mike comes to comfort her, but she suddenly pulls the knife on him. He stays calm and slowly talks her down.
I know you're scared. When you use a weapon, you never operate from fear. Always balance your emotions. Hold it like this. Your thumb up against the hilt. Hold it up. Good. That's a strong grip.
Over the following weeks, Mike begins caring for Jessie as though she were his own daughter. He makes sure she eats properly and stays safe. She grows attached to his dog and spends hours playing with him, and seeing her laugh slowly brings warmth back into Mike's life. Jessie eventually realizes she does not even know Mike's name and notices that he never gave the dog one either, so she decides to call him Jack.
He likes the name Jack.
She also reveals that she is surprisingly skilled at chess, which genuinely impresses Mike. However, when he checks her leg again, he sees that the swelling has worsened and the wound is infected. Realizing he needs proper medicine, Mike decides he must travel to the mainland. Mike sails to the nearest town on the mainland, keeping his head low and his face turned away from security cameras as he searches for medicine. While he moves quietly through the streets, a tense government hearing is taking place in London. Stephen Manafort, the former head of MI6, is being questioned about a secret surveillance program he created called Project Thea. The system illegally monitored phone calls and camera feeds around the world to gather intelligence. Officials accuse him of violating privacy laws, but Manafort defends the program, insisting it has prevented terrorist attacks and saved countless lives. Despite his arguments, the court orders that Thea be shut down immediately. After the hearing, Manafort meets privately with Prime Minister Fordham. She understands how valuable the program is, especially with elections approaching, but she cannot publicly support it. She advises Manafort to step away from public life until after the vote while quietly keeping the project running behind the scenes. Reluctantly, he agrees. Back on the mainland, Mike finishes shopping. Along with medicine for Jesse's infected leg, he buys her new clothes. As he leaves the store, he unknowingly walks through the background of a video being filmed by a group of young social media influencers. He ignores them completely, unaware that their footage is automatically scanned by the Thea system. The software analyzes his face and immediately flags him as a high-priority target. The alert is sent to Roberta, the new supervisor overseeing Thea. When she opens the file, she sees that Mike's identity is linked to an international terrorist responsible for multiple bombings. Without hesitation, she orders a special task force to locate and execute him on sight. The next day, back on the island, Mike finishes dressing Jesse's wound. She is excited about her new clothes and clearly feels stronger. That evening, as they sit down for dinner, Mike hears something unusual outside. He looks toward the shore and sees a boat full of armed officers landing on the island. Instantly, he tells Jesse to lock herself in the bathroom and not open the door for anyone except him. He then activates hidden traps he previously set along the beach.
Find this fucker. Now. Spread out. Box him in.
During the chaos, Jack lunges at a gunman to protect Jesse, but the officer shoots the dog dead. Enraged and terrified, Jesse rushes at the attacker, but he overpowers her and begins dragging her away. Outside, Mike eliminates the remaining officers one by one. He then shoots the man holding Jesse and pulls her back to safety. Once the last attacker falls, Mike rushes to her and tells her they must leave immediately. Before they escape, he kneels briefly beside Jack's body. The loss clearly devastates him, but there is no time to grieve. He and Jesse board his boat and flee the island at full speed. At MI6 headquarters, Roberta watches the failed operation through live surveillance feeds. She is shocked by how efficiently the target dismantled her team. It becomes clear to her that he is far more dangerous and skilled than any ordinary terrorist. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, she decides to deploy the agency's most lethal operative, a man known only as Workman. After reaching the mainland, Jesse notices that Mike is still bleeding from his gunshot wound. She asks him who those men were. Mike tells her they are ghosts from his past. Knowing the danger is far from over, he hands her a gun and calmly teaches her the basics of how to hold it and fire it properly.
Ever use a gun? One hand there, and one there. Keep the barrel pointed to the dirt. Keep your finger off the trigger, it's sensitive. Get you back against the fence.
Then he enters a nearby house to find medical supplies. Inside, a young boy spots him. Moments later, the boy's father rushes in and points a gun at Mike. Before the man can shoot, Jessie steps into the room and aims her weapon at the father, reversing the situation. Seeing that Mike is badly injured, she demands that the man help treat him. Reluctantly, the father agrees and begins cleaning and stitching the wound. Meanwhile, at MI6, an analyst reviewing the data uncovers something disturbing. Mike's face has been deliberately swapped with the profile of a known terrorist. The real Michael Mason was once an MI6 operative whose records were erased and replaced with a fake killed-in-action certificate.
He's one of us.
Roberta is stunned to discover that every file connected to him has been wiped. She realizes that only Manafort could have authorized something like this. At the same time, Manafort secretly accesses Thea through a private channel and confirms that Mike is alive. Panicked, he sends a direct order to Workman that overrides Roberta's authority. He instructs him to eliminate both Mike and Jesse immediately. Back at the house, the father finishes treating Mike just as Mike realizes the boy has quietly alerted the authorities.
Did you just go do something? Callum?
I called the police.
Police quickly surround the building. Roberta, watching through surveillance, orders her teams not to fire and to simply secure the perimeter. As the father and son attempt to run from the house, Workman, positioned at a distance, fires a sniper shot and kills the father instantly. Roberta and her team are shocked by the unauthorized action. Mike pulls the boy to safety, grabs Jesse, and escapes through the back. He fights through a line of officers, disarms several of them, and hijacks a police vehicle. Workman pursues them in another car and opens fire as they speed down the road. Soon after, Roberta confronts Manafort and demands to know why Mike's files were erased. Manafort admits that he created the Black Kite Ops unit and that Mike was its lead assassin. He claims Mike was once the perfect operative until he refused to carry out an order to kill a foreign official who supposedly threatened national security. According to Manafort, Mike went rogue and remains extremely dangerous. He urges Roberta to use full force. Suspicious, Roberta orders her team to investigate further. They uncover the truth.
I found the Black Kite files on a backup server. Mason was helping an Iranian scientist defect after he gave us everything on their nuclear program. Instead of protecting him, Mason was ordered to kill him for deniability. It looks like he refused.
That is why Mike refused the order and turned against MI6. Monitoring events through hidden feeds, Manafort realizes Roberta now knows the truth and will no longer blindly follow his commands. As Mike and Jesse continue driving, she quietly asks him if he ever wanted a wife and children. Mike explains that he has no one because family creates weaknesses. They soon arrive at a church to meet Booth, Mike's former partner, and an ex-MI6 IT specialist. Booth is surprised to see Mike traveling with a child. Mike explains that Jesse was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. At Booth's home, they hack into the Thea system. Booth confirms that Manafort deliberately framed Mike by linking his face to a terrorist profile. Mike asks Booth to protect Jesse while he hunts Manafort down. Booth hesitates, but Jesse notices medication on the table and recognizes it because her mother died of cancer.
He has cancer. My mum took the same meds before she... I'm sorry I'm such a drag to you.
Is she right?
Doctors say I might get one more Christmas.
The news deeply affects Mike. With few options left, they decide to contact Kamal, a powerful criminal boss and their last hope. As Booth prepares the car, Mike senses danger. Workman has tracked them down. Mike and Workman clash in a brutal fight. Both are highly trained killers, but Mike manages to wound Workman long enough to escape with Jesse and Booth. As they flee, Jesse asks who the attacker was. Booth explains that Workman is what Mike used to be 20 years ago, a younger and faster version chosen to replace him. Mike and Jesse later separate from Booth to meet Kamal in the city. On the way, Jesse asks why she cannot stay with Mike. He tells her the danger around him is too great and that the only way to end it is to eliminate the source. She asks him to promise that he will stay alive, but he gives her no clear answer. They arrive at a crowded nightclub, knowing the security cameras will immediately flag their presence. This is exactly what Mike wants. As expected, alerts are triggered within the Thea system, notifying both Manafort and Roberta. Each of them dispatches armed teams to the location. Inside the club, Mike approaches Kamal, a powerful crime boss who had believed Mike was dead. Mike demands that Kamal create a new identity for Jesse and arrange safe passage to Spain. Kamal initially refuses.
No.
How do you think you've been allowed to operate for all these years, Kamal?
Manifold's gone.
He's more dangerous than ever. To us both.
You're lying.
Second the security camera outside saw me walk in here, into your club, every operative MI6 has within 25 miles is activated to bring me in. I reckon you got 10 minutes tops.
Realizing he has no choice, Kamal agrees. He provides Jesse with a passport and 20,000 euros and instructs them to meet his contact at the docks for transport to Spain. Jesse is upset about being sent away alone, but Mike accepts the deal. Before they can leave, agents loyal to both Manafort and Roberta storm the nightclub from different entrances. Chaos erupts.
Manifold's guards have got Jesse.
Found her.
She's being carried towards a black transit van.
Get ready! He's gonna be coming for her!
I got you.
They escape the area, but Workman quickly picks up their trail and resumes the pursuit. The chase leads them to the docks, where Kamal's men wait beside a boat prepared for departure. Just before boarding, Jesse looks at Mike and tells him that he is the only person she has left in the world. She begs him to come with her. Mike tells her he cannot leave and promises that he will survive. Suddenly, a gunshot rings out. Mike pushes Jesse onto the boat. Kamal's men speed away into the darkness as Mike turns to face Workman approaching through the smoke. The two former Black Kite operatives engage in a brutal final fight. Despite his age and injuries, Mike proves he is still superior. After a vicious struggle, he grabs a heavy metal pipe and strikes Workman with a crushing blow, killing him. With Workman defeated, Mike disappears into the shadows. The following day, Manafort is at home when he notices that all his security guards have been silently taken down. He understands immediately that Mike has come for him. When they confront each other, Manafort admits that Mike was the finest weapon he ever created until he stopped following orders. Mike responds that if his only goal had been to kill for profit, he would have become a mercenary instead of serving MI6. Manafort mocks him and claims that money is the true source of power. He offers Mike a partnership to control the agency together. Mike calmly replies that if he had wanted power, he would have taken it years ago. Then he shoots Manafort dead. 1 month later, Jessie sits alone at a quiet restaurant in Spain. Roberta continues monitoring her through the Thea system, convinced that Mike would never truly abandon her. Suddenly, the restaurant's CCTV camera is turned upside down, cutting off the clear feed. Roberta realizes that Mike is still operating from the shadows. Outside, Mike arranges for a small gift to be delivered to Jessie's table. It is a queen chess piece. From across the street, he watches her reaction. Jessie looks at the piece and immediately understands that he is alive and protecting her from afar. She smiles softly, finally feeling at peace as Mike turns and walks away unnoticed. Well, here ends the recap of the 2026 action thriller movie, Shelter. How did you like this film? Let me know in the comments below.